Want to learn the secrets of skiing, moguls? In this video, I'll show you the second big secret. By the way, this is a series about skiing moguls. If you haven't seen the earlier videos, check them out in the link. Hi, Skier Steve here again. In the previous video, we learned a simple mogul survival technique where we side-slip down moguls and stop shortly at the bottom of each trough. Then we made a tight turn onto the top of the next mogul. That tight turn can be a bit tricky, so let's look at how we can make that turn easier. First, it's important to note that when we are on an intimidatingly steep hill, our intuition to protect ourselves makes us do two things. First, we lean back on our skis, and second, we turn our bodies sideways to the hill. We need to work to overcome these tendencies because both of these work against us when we ski moguls. When we lean back on our skis, the tails of the skis dig into the mogul behind us, which makes it really hard to turn. We'll discuss how to balance our weight in a later video. But for now, just become aware that leaning back is not helpful. On steep or intimidating moguls, we often turn our bodies sideways to the hill. We do this as an intuitive means of protecting ourselves in case we fall. But turning sideways makes it much more difficult to make quick turns between moguls. Think about what is required when we make the turn. We have to completely rotate our entire body by 180 degrees. We can make it a little easier if we don't have to rotate our entire body, but only move the lower part of our body. So, this step of the mogul progression is to try to keep the upper body always facing straight downhill, and only twist our legs to perform the side slip. Since the upper body remains stationary, the lower body from the waist down is like a coiled spring that is ready to snap around. You can facilitate the snapping around by bouncing slightly off of the bottom of the trough. Not only does a slight bounce unweight your skis for the turn, but it's also kind of fun, like dancing in the snow. A few years ago, I rode up on a chair with a guy who claimed to write for Ski Magazine. I mentioned I like to bounce through the bumps. He told me in no uncertain terms that there is no bouncing in the bumps. To which my response was, "Bummer to be you. Bouncing in the bumps is great fun." One trick I use sometimes to make sure I'm facing downhill with my upper torso is to double plant both poles at the same time as I'm making the tight turn. I try to plant both poles so that they are at equal height on the slope of the hill. This is like a mental check that my shoulders are perpendicular to the fall line of the hill. Double planting is a training trick you should use sparingly because you don't want it to become a habit, but it can help you check to make sure you are actually facing downhill. So, to summarize, here's what you need to remember from this video. 1. Try to keep your upper torso facing straight downhill. 2. When you hit the trough, bounce just enough to slightly unweight your skis to facilitate the tight turn. Practice this technique until you feel comfortable that you are almost always facing downhill. Then check out the next video. Do you have mogul skiing tips that work for you? Please share your tips in the comments. Also, click subscribe to see more of my mogul skiing content.